Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins decided to trade Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey, man. And I think we all knew this was coming a bit. You know, it was being talked about. It was being talked about that Jalen Ramsey would likely be moved. It was just a matter of time and a matter of time and a matter of where. And Jalen Ramsey gets traded to the Steelers, and the Dolphins receive Minkah Fitzpatrick. This is a pretty big deal. This is a pretty high profile move here. And when you think about the nature of the move, if you scroll down to the details, let's get down to the nitty gritty here. Here are the details. So the Steelers are going to receive Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith and the 2027 7th round pick. The Miami Dolphins are going to receive Minkah Fitzpatrick and the 2027 5th round pick. Now, I mean, Jalen Ramsey's 30. Jonnu Smith, let me see how old he is real quick. I don't think he's that old, but Jonnu Smith is 29 years old. So, all right, he's getting up there. So Miami moves a 30-year-old corner. They move a 29-year-old tight end, and they get a 28-year-old safety in Minkah Fitzpatrick instead. Now, Minkah Fitzpatrick, he was drafted by the Miami Dolphins, but he really didn't spend too much time there. If I'm not mistaken, Minkah Fitzpatrick only played 18 games for the Dolphins before being traded in his second season, which was strange. I still can't remember the details as to why they decided to move on from him at such an early stage in his career. But I'm sure the Miami Dolphins were pretty dysfunctional then, just as they are now. And he's been a Pittsburgh Steeler ever since. He's been a Pittsburgh Steeler since 2019. And he's been a phenomenal player for them. 3-time All-Pro as a Steeler, 5-time Pro Bowler. And I'm talking first team. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been that dude throughout his career. He's been one of the best safeties over the past 6, 7 years, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. So Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of them ones. So for him to go back to Miami is very interesting. And Jalen Ramsey, for him to go to the Steelers, I think about their team as it's presently constructed now. They got some DBs over there. Obviously, they have Darius Slay. They got Joey Porter Jr. Let's see who else they got over there. So, Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr. They got some guys over there. Juan Thornhill at safety, Deshaun Elliott at safety. That DB room is legit. On the older side, obviously Slay is 34, 35, I think, and Jalen Ramsey is 30. Joey Porter's the young buck in the building, so he's getting a lot of experience with those guys. He's going to have a lot of experience with those guys. But that Steelers defense just continues to look more fascinating. They drafted Derek Harmon. They drafted Jack Sawyer. They got some guys. Obviously, they got Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith. They're still working on things with T.J. Watt. But that Steelers defense, I think that Steelers defense is still formidable. But at the same time, you lose a first-team All-Pro multi-time in Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's not easy to replace. Now, granted, when you think about the Steelers situation, they've been doing it one way for so long. So maybe they felt they needed to shake things up. And look, getting Jalen Ramsey back, getting a tight end back in Jonnu Smith, now your tight end position is a bit stacked. You have Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith now, Darnell Washington. You also have DK Metcalf at wide receiver and Calvin Austin, the third at wide receiver. So it looks to me that the Steelers are preparing to play a lot of 12 personnel on offense, at least. But defensively, you get weaker at safety. You get stronger at corner. Again, the Steelers have been doing it one way for a long time. Shaking some things up, I'm not really mad at it. I'm not mad at the move. Now, on the Dolphins side of things, the Dolphins, it seems like the Dolphins are kind of just clearing house, right? Dolphins traded Jalen Ramsey out the building, traded Jonnu Smith out of the building. They bring back Minkah Fitzpatrick, who didn't want to be there in the first place, right? Now, they're obviously getting a more polished Minkah, but I don't know how much Minkah Fitzpatrick wants to be in Miami. He left there for a reason early in his career. But I bring this move up. I bring these moves up because I think about Kelee Ringo, and a lot of people wanted the Eagles to inquire about Jalen Ramsey, Jair Alexander, right? Those were like the two names that Eagles fans were inquiring about. And lo and behold, Jair Alexander signs to the Baltimore Ravens. Jalen Ramsey gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now I look at the Eagles DB room. In particular, I look at the cornerback room and I say to myself, all right, y'all, we're past the point of no return. We're past that point of no return. Alexander, not available. Jalen Ramsey, not available. You got no choice but to bet on Ringo now. You have no choice. And I think the Eagles, in their lack of moves or aggressiveness, they're showing you that we're rolling with Ringo until further notice. I mean, I personally had a feeling that both of those moves, Jair Alexander and Jalen Ramsey, weren't, I don't want to say feasible, but Jalen Ramsey, I didn't think it was feasible for one. I mean, you see what it took to get him, right? And the Jair Alexander move, I just felt like his health was an issue. So I don't see why the Eagles would make a move for him, and they didn't do so. So now we look at Kelee Ringo and we say to ourselves, all right, what's the play? We talked about this a while ago. We said that we noticed that Vic Fangio has shown some confidence in Kelee Ringo. He's shown some confidence in him. He made it very clear that all he needs is reps, right? You look at the cornerback room for the Eagles right now. Obviously, you have Quinyon Mitchell. You have Cooper DeJean. You have Kelee Ringo. You got Matt McWilliams. You got Eli Ricks. Who else they got over there? Adoree Jackson, Tyreek Castro-Fields, B.J. Mays, Brandon Johnson. It's a lot of guys over here. A.J. Woods, Perry Nickerson. Obviously, the main guys we're looking at, we're thinking about are Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, and Kelee Ringo. Those are our main guys right now. And who knows what Adoree Jackson has left? We don't know. He's been battling injury mostly his career. So what kind of impact will Adoree make? We don't know. But I think Kelee Ringo is going to beat him out. I think Kelee Ringo is going to be the starter. I think Kelee Ringo is going to have a strong season. I think this is his opportunity. I'm still all in on Kelee Ringo. I'm rolling the dice on that because Kelee Ringo's entering year 3. I remember when Nakobe Dean was entering year 3, and the Eagles decided to bet on him again. He had a spectacular season after he settled into the league, after he got healthy. So Kelee Ringo, I'm expecting the same thing. Now, Kelee hasn't battled injuries, but the depth chart hasn't been on his side with the talent and Quinyon and Coop and so on and so forth, right? And Darius Slay when we had him. So this is an opportunity for Kelee Ringo. This is an opportunity. And we'll see how it turns out for sure. Doomsday Corner says, I think Kelee is going to show improve. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Now, look, no one's saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler his first season as a starter. Nobody's saying he's going to be an All-Pro. Nobody's even going that far. But we're just saying, at least I'm saying that this is a guy that you drafted out of a program you respect, and you've gotten a lot of talent out of, and you've gotten a lot of production out of as well. Why would that trend stop with Kelee Ringo? They've given Nakobe Dean chance at the chance. You know, Nolan Smith came out in year 2 and, exploded on the scene. Jordan Davis obviously has been a work in progress with his conditioning, but he's begun to become the player the Eagles want, right? Jalen Carter came out and was an instant impact guy. You brought in Azeez Ojulari, who not only played for your rival, but Azeez Ojulari is a Georgia guy. You're betting on him not just because of what he's done in the league, but you're betting on him because he's a Georgia guy as well. So why would the trend stop? Kelee Ringo should get the same opportunity to show improve like Nakobe Dean and Nolan and all those guys. He should. And I think he's going to take the ball and run with it. I really do. Let's see, we're here. Fanny says Kelee has no choice. Sure don't. He ain't got no choice. I think he's going to be a good player. When you think about the measurables, you think about what Kelee has at his disposal. I mean, let me make sure I got this right here. Kelee Ringo, 6'2", 207 pounds. Ran a 4.36 40-yard dash time, a 33-inch vertical, 122-inch broad jump. Come on, man. A guy with those kind of measurables, you got to find a way to make it work with him. Because if he can figure it out, you can have probably the most physical cornerback room in the league. You could. The most athletic cornerback room in the league, you can definitely have that. Or at least trio with Quinyon, who's rangy, long arms, instinctual, knows how to tackle, knows how to play the ball. Cooper DeJean, who can maneuver through the traffic, can pick up any tight end or running back man-to-man, any slot receiver man-to-man. Instinctual as well, sideline to sideline speed, a tackling machine, can play the run. And then got Kelee Ringo, who can also tackle, who's fearless, who's physical, with that size and that speed, the athleticism. That's the goal here. That's the overall goal. The overall goal for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think this has been the plan all along. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Kelee Ringo. I spoke about this last season or last offseason. I think the Eagles want to be able to get Kelee Ringo on the field. They would have three starting level corners who are under rookie contracts. So think about how much flexibility that provides for the Eagles to pay guys like Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, right? I don't know what Reed Blankenship's future is. I don't. But just think about the possibilities when you have flexibility with that cap, and a lot of your most talented guys are on rookie deals. It provides so much flexibility, and the guys are cost controlled. Sweet Chin Music says the size, the speed, the athleticism on the field could be crazy, bro. It could. It will. Tiffany says if they had any concerns with Ringo, they would have been brought someone else in. Here's the thing, right? Obviously, a lot of you guys don't look at Adoree Jackson as any real problem, but Adoree Jackson was brought in here for depth. He's a veteran. He was brought in here to compete with Kelee Ringo. That's a fact. Now, whether you see him as competition is a different conversation. But I believe their intention. Well, how you see it doesn't really matter. What was their intent? Their intent was to bring in a veteran corner that still believes he has a lot left in the tank, who's going to compete with a young guy who's ready to take his career to another level. Adoree Jackson is a safety net, but also he's meant to push Kelee Ringo. Again, however you see Adoree Jackson, that's totally your right. I'm not acting like Adoree Jackson is some legitimate baller. I'm not acting like that. You know, Adoree Jackson has had a very interesting career. He's battled injuries. You know, he's been inconsistent. He hasn't been the best player that he possibly could be. And some of that isn't his fault. That's the reality. But he was brought in here to put some pressure on Kelee Ringo. And after the Jair Alexander signing to the Ravens, and after Jalen Ramsey gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's even more pressure on Ringo. We all talked about these guys. We brought it up. Should the Eagles make the move for Jalen Ramsey? What will it take to get Ramsey in the building? Should they sign Jair Alexander? Would that be a veteran minimum? What kind of money? What kind of money is he looking for? Can we get him for a 1-year prove-it deal? Jair Alexander was obviously the cheaper of the two, but the Eagles clearly felt like we don't need to make that move.